I'm really looking forward to our next speaker, who joins us from SAP, Martin Wezowski. And I would say if I would have met Martin a few years ago, I would have never thought that someone like Martin is working for a company like SAP, because you will see him in a second. He rather looks like a rock star, and potentially he has a rock star background. Martin lived in China, he lived in Sweden, he lived in Poland. Now working for SAP, he's the global design lead for SAP Innovation.
Okay.
And I'm really looking forward to his talk, because he's trying to elaborate on what kind of role design can play in these times of exponential thinking. So actually, Martin, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Ready to go? So join me.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? How was your trip so far?
It was amazing. I saw a guy talking about the future of mobility.
Well,
that was awesome.
And now your talk. So I already introduced you. So you have this amazing job title, working for SAP in the innovation department, and you're a designer by training, or you became a designer by
I became a designer.
passion?
I trained, exactly, by passion and chance.
Okay, so I'm really looking forward to your talk, because we live in exponential times, and design plays a vital role for that. So take it away.
Thank you very
Martin,
much
for joining us. Thank you.
So hi guys. First of all, I want to tell everybody that I love you because you're different. And being different is really important. We go into a place, hundreds and maybe, thousands of us, where different people meet. Why? Why is this important? I think it's really crazy important, because that drives innovation. So keep that intact. Be different, be weird. Otherwise we cannot have different ideas. Because to have one really great idea, you have to first have many different ideas. And this is how we drive innovation. And we do it together. We design this world together. This is where we're headed. And this change that we sort of seeing is different than it was before. My parents, for example, would say the change was a moment. Here's the TV, color TV. Here's the flight to the moon. Here's the internet. Here's Facebook and internet. Here's cats on the internet. And here's artificial intelligence. And they think this is discrete moments, but they are not. They're coming so tight together, as you can see on these lines maybe, that they become a flow. They become a flow that becomes a platform of change that we live on. See, that's a huge difference. It's everything we do is change. Well, let's understand it. Let's study it. Let's deeply drive it in some way that makes sense to us. And that's the thing. If the change is growing exponentially, how can we get it? Because the brain doesn't understand the exponential change. That's a fact. We understand linear steps. If I tell you that I will take 30 steps, 1 meter ahead, 1, 2, 3, you can easily see, okay, he's going to be 30 steps ahead there. It's somewhere in the end of this plane, somewhere there in the business class. Okay, everybody can plan for that. I can plan for it. My competition can plan for that. But look, if I'm taking exponential change, if that's the nature of the change, for example, if I double my steps every time, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, what is the exponential 30th step? Are you autistic? Are you a mathematician? Do you know? I had no clue. I had to look it up. This is from Singularity University. This is the best way to understand that you don't understand the exponential, or at least it's very hard. The 30th step is very far away. Actually, it's 1 billion steps ahead. You still don't get it, don't you? Neither do I, because who knows what 1 billion, it's 26 times around the globe. Do you see what I mean? It's hard to get. This is why we need to study. This is why we, for example, have an innovation standard to understand the change and map it and build around it. That's it. So, where do we go from there? What's the next step? If we understand the change, this is the... Well, all these changes will become a sort of a future. So, why is the future so important? Why do we talk about it so much nowadays? I think it's important because, you, I, your dog, your neighbor, everybody you love, well, everybody, will spend the rest of our lives in the future, whether you want it or not. So I was thinking, if we just sit down and do this really well, and actually think positively, we can build a future where we all want to live. And that's by design. That's what I want to do. And people are doing it already. So for example, you have these guys building rockets. Everybody wants a rocket. And I don't think they do it just because they are guys or very, very rich. I think they do it because they see a sequence of change, an ecosystem of change that is happening. They see that Japan, for example, have extraterrestrial machines that they want to deploy and build for space exploration. They see stuff like this thing that is being built by Joe Sorcel, for example. I met him the last year. He worked for NASA for 17 years, then he started to build this. What is that? Well, it's a thing that can be launched into space that grabs asteroids and squeezes fuel out of them with solar power. For what? Obviously, for rocket fuel, for the guys that fly the rockets. Why? Obviously, because we will need gas stations in space to explore and live there like normal human beings. This is the ecosystem. We are industrializing the space. Have you thought about it? Maybe not. I'm thinking about it all the time. And you know, these convergences, these exponential changes, sometimes are very deep or important like that. Sometimes they are banal, but the mechanics are exactly the same. If you haven't played with Hello Barbie, you really want to. I know you want to. I want to. Anyway, have a look at this movie that we will play right now and you will understand this a little bit better.
I want to be a scientist.
Eureka! A scientist. I think science is so amazing. Why do you want to be a scientist?
I always really liked chemistry and physics in school.
The study of physics is incredible. Take gravity. You can't see it, but the second you trip, it's right there to pull you down. Did you ever fall or trip on something?
Yeah, unfortunately, all the time.
It happens to me all the time. That's gravity, pulling you down, sometimes with an ouch.
All right. You know, you can take this thing for a dinner and have a conversation, almost. At least of that quality you and I will have on Saturday night after a few beers. So what is this? This is convergence of technologies. You see, the computer in this thing is basically as powerful as what you worked on your desktop in your very important company just 10 years ago. Now it's in a plastic doll that talks to you. It's natural language processing, so some kind of AI is happening, some kind of cloud computing is happening to get the information. So see, convergence of technologies coming in, and this is a design that has happened. Now, is this all? What if the kid wants to eat? Hi Barbie, I'm hungry. Should Barbie then cloud compute away through Google that has advertising for, say, McDonald's and connect to Amazon Prime and send a burger to the house? Do you want that? Do I want that? Is that okay? Maybe. Should Barbie call the police because the kid is bullied? Someone stole the hamburger. I don't know. But we need to sit down and understand these ecosystems of change that drive us. And maybe Barbie's plastic skin is sensitive to how we feel. Is that science fiction? No, it's science fact. Our brains are trapped in here. They cannot get bigger. It will take another 1 million, thousands of years. We need to enhance that with sensors, and we couldn't do it today. The lady that you see sitting down, she's paralyzed. She's sick. But what she's doing is operating that screen and typing with her mind. Yes, with her mind. She's imagining that she's moving her arms just in her mind, and the arms are pressing letters, and she's typing. 8 words per minute. That's pretty good. This is the fastest brain-machine interface for typing right now. But this will change. Can you see the Obi-Wan Kenobi down there? These are the droids you're looking for. Yes, we can control things with our minds. Science fiction is becoming science fact in front of our eyes, and we need to see this. And you add to that Boston Robotics with the robots you all have seen jumping around and behaving like superhumans. Put this together, think 30 steps ahead, and you need to rethink what's human. We designers usually say, oh, it's human-centered design. Right. Think what's human-centered 10 years from now. What's human 30 years from now. It's important thoughts. The roles, what we are is changing. It's not about the interface or the surface or the economy of something. It's about the fusion, about the orchestration, about the conduction of all these small changes to ever bigger ecosystems of change. The change is your design brief. Follow it. Study it deeply with passion. It will show you where you can go. What's desirable, what's possible, what's utopian, what's dystopian. And once you decide where you can play a positive, impactful role, articulate it. Tell someone. Make a drawing. This is crucial. You see this drawing, it's from 2008. And you have this drawing in front of you and thinking about Hyperloop. All right. You cannot unsee this. You just want to take the train from Oslo to Paris to have a breakfast just in 30 minutes and then continue to Melbourne for an evening meeting. You want this now, right? I want this at least. And you look at the materials out there, how they are changing. Well, it's science fiction. In Star Trek, we had transparent aluminum. Now we have transparent aluminum. This little ball down there, that's aluminum. Yes, the metal that is not transparent, it's transparent. The wood that is transparent, it looks like there's no wood in it. That's wood. Wood from Sweden. Because Sweden scientists just took the wood out of it but kept the wood. You get my point. The little thing in your hand there, that's a solar cell. Now you can capture solar power through your window. So the user experience design of energy looks like this. Serenity, nothing, and it's almost for free. We just demonetize the whole business. And this is happening to your company, to my company. 5 decades ago, we could live forever, 75 years at least if you were a Fortune 500. Now just 15. Think again. How do you map and construct the change for yourself? We just saw Daimler, how they are looking. We just came from CS and how other people are looking at this change. What convergences are happening in front of us? What microservices are conducted together to bring, for example, goods to your car, walk your dog, and then you take your car and drive to a 3D printed house. Yes, almost for free. And this little kitchen you see down there below the house, that's 3D printed but not assembled by humans. It's 3D printed in one piece. Things are moving fast forward. And the sensors I talked about, the one on the hand you see below, that's the one that can sense tumors. It can sense how your heart is feeling. Can you imagine a T-shirt with this? Yes, you can. You put it on your babies. But most of all, you should put it in our machines. We talk about augmented realities and mixed realities. We haven't seen yet how machines should be augmented with our reality. They should have empathy for the human needs, for the human ambitions. So you can watch your Harry Potter movie and not crash in your Tesla. That's very important. But most of all, we need to start understanding that exponential thinking is hard. Your boss, your budget, your company is probably on the red line, linearly progressing very, very well forward. And they look good. And you have these crazy ideas that I just showed you. You're standing on the green line and you're thinking, why am I looking so bad all the time? Until you hit the hockey stick and take over everything. Hopefully, you are recognized not being on the gray line, but actually on the green one. And you get the budget and your good idea is not pushed aside. So you don't become the Nokia, the Kodak of the future. You are not stuck in a culture of the old. You are in the creative mindset that can articulate futures that we all want. And you have the empathy to understand the needs, the ambitions of your customers, of your peers, of your humans. SAP is number 10 empathic companies in the world. Why does it matter? Because it's good business, guys. It's money. Look at the statistics, 50% more earnings in market cap compared to the 10 last guys there, somewhere in oil. Design and empathy go together. To understand what human needs is good design. And good design is good business. This is how you spell it. And bad design have very severe consequences. It trickles down the line. Actually, it always goes to the lowest mass of consumers of your design. And that's a disaster. I will talk more about it in Austin in a larger remix of that and touch upon it, how design hangs together and how design actually is activism as the last thing to say. Because we design services, artifacts. We consume these artifacts and they shape our behavior. Look at your iPhone. These behaviors are then seen in communities, in societies. Societies shape politics. So design is political. Do it well. It's about our future, about building the relationships, not the features of the product. Build the relationship, the product will follow. That's the important thing. It's about empathy, about using the human-machine symbiosis, the human creativity and the machine intelligence, because we have hard problems to solve, world problems, and we need help. And we're getting it. Machines are smart. They can figure out stuff only machines can do, and we can be creative, empathic, argue, have opinions, and be different and absolutely lovable to each other. This is what we should focus on right now, and we should love the machines for the help they're giving us. I call it the Q machine. More about that later. So lastly, let's use this human brain, this human empathy and love for something important. This is a travel voucher you see in front of you. It's a pretty old one. You wonder, why am I showing the old stuff now? Well, 1969, this business traveler had to make a business trip and fill this in. His name was Mr. Aldrin. He used a government spacecraft, and he got his $33 back for flying to the moon and filling this in. Could we spend Buzz Aldrin's intelligence on something more important than filling this in? I think so. And if we start think like that and imagine futures, imagine something that was science fiction but becoming science fact, I think we can group together and build a society that really, really wants to go there. I think this is where we build a future we really want to live in. And once we're doing that, once we get down to Austin and start to talk about it, I think we should start doing some really, really fun shit too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. That was awesome. Really inspiring. You received a lot of really valuable feedback. So
okay.
Again, like for the audience, you have the ability to post questions, but also make comments. You received tons of really amazing feedback. So thanks a lot. One of my favorite slides is always with the exponential curve hitting the linear curve, because I think it's so easy afterwards to blame Nokia. Oh, they shouldn't have done things differently. Or Kodak, why didn't they react earlier? Or telcos, you should have seen WhatsApp coming. So in your role, and this is also a question from the audience, like how do you actually convince top management of like a radical new idea? How do you actually make them aware that there is something cooking, coming exponentially from the very, very bottom, which might be something of relevance in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? So how do you do that in your job, and what's your recommendation for corporations?
Show them the map. Show them a map of innovation and near and far future. People are usually very good at arguing about one single thing. I don't know, take the politics. Should we have foreign people coming to our country? And they single this out as one topic, and they argue to hell. Okay. They are very, very angry, can't sleep, and all these things. Wrong. How does it play in a bigger role, in a bigger picture? Globalization drives diversity, diversity drives innovation, innovation drives this globe. Oh, wait a second, globalization, blah, 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 blah. Good, bring in people. You have the answer. Same thing with your portfolio of innovations. Where does it belong? Is it mapped to some trends that we see? Do we see narratives about these trends that we, as SAP, as Audi, as whatever, can play a significant, positive role? Investigate that. If you have a question, yes, or an answer yes to that, good, move along. If you have a no, park it for now. Maybe you have a competition that can take care of that, so you don't have to fight about it. But if you don't know, don't argue. Get the data right, and get the futurist right, get your designer right, get your product manager and your economy right, and look far, far ahead. Because if you want to take the first step and kill your next quarter, we're going to win, you need to understand the 10th. Otherwise, you're just like a chicken, taking one step at a time, having no freaking idea where the moon is. It's
not the next quarter, it's like the 10th quarter. Build a map. So you clearly recommend building a map of innovation, having like innovation in-house? What would you say? How do you work with externally? What would you bring in externally? What can you do in-house? What can you do externally?
Back to diversity. I don't know. We are big. We have many big companies here. That doesn't work anymore. The change is exponential. As I said, nobody understands what the future is. If they tell you they're lying, or they just have no idea what change is. So you need to ask people. You need to sit down, have a glass of wine, and understand where you headed, what are you doing. startups is a perfect community to reach out. They are very vertical. They love and they are passionate about something specific. Bring them in, have a community, nurture them with funds, with ideas, and have them grow together with you. You cannot grow alone, not 2017 forward.
No.
Maybe you think you're the biggest lion in the jungle.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Absolutely. And on that note, there's a question from Lars, actually. What's more difficult, coming up with a good new idea or identifying it?
I love this saying, the good person hits the target nobody can hit.
Yeah.
But the genius person hits the target nobody can see.
Whoa, but okay.
That's for me. And you can only see targets if you start. I'm back to the map. Start mapping, build narratives, start understand stuff around it, and all of a sudden you go, oh shit, we didn't see that. That's fun. That's important. We can be there.
So it's a rather broad radar than a very narrow.
Scope in.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much. I could listen to you like for the remainder of the flight, which is still a couple of hours. Enjoy the rest of your flight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'll see you later.
See you later.
Very much.
Ciao, guys. Bye.
Yeah, that was amazing. I think it clearly made a point about that we can't sit still. So in these times of exponential, doing nothing is not an option. And I think what Martin really clearly pointed out is now is really different than 10 years ago. I mean, what exponential basically means like 1 + 1 is not 2, it equals rather 3 or 5 or something. It's different factors that basically are catalysts to each other. Think about a mobile phone putting into the hand of a millennial, giving them an app store, giving them data flat rate, giving them LTE, broadband, etc. I mean, this is like a really, really powerful environment, and this is basically like a breeding ground for all kinds of innovation. And me personally, I can't think of any industry that will basically, not have to face this exponential change. So thanks again, Martin, for this really insightful talk. And his recommendation: have a map. Have a broad view on it. Don't be stuck in your internal thinking. Work with externally inspiration. Having a map of innovation. Having a currency for innovative trends. Like, what does it mean for me as a corporate, as a small and medium enterprise? And basically, just be prepared that we're living in exponential times.